This is Hungary in 1510. We're the #1 great power in the world with almost 1500 development. We're making about 44 ducats a month with almost zero inflation and only 2 burger loans. We're ahead of time in almost every single technology. We've wrapped up aristocratic and influence ideas, the most amazing opener for your Hungary gameplay. We've completed most of the brand new Hungarian mission tree featuring some awesome missions that let us PU a bunch of nations and focus on our internal situation as well as crushing the Ottomans. Super nice cavalry combat ability that we're going to increase even more along with a massive force limit. We have Burgundy, Bohemia, Poland, Lithuania, and Naples as junior partners, and we're ready to PU Austria as well very soon, along with Byzantium and Bulgaria as vassals, and we're ready to reconquer their cores from the Ottomans, which we already crushed once. And we're also the HRE Emperor with 3 imperial reforms passed, and everyone loves us. Now we're ready to go and further dominate Europe and maybe even the rest of the world. This is how you can do the same. Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be doing a guide for Hungary for EU4 1.37 Winds of Change. So Hungary is a nation located primarily in the region of Carpathia, and as you all know, in AI games, when the AI plays as Hungary, this is a nation that's rarely successful, usually getting PU'd by Austria, and if they don't get PU'd by Austria, they usually get gobbled up by Bohemia, Poland, the Ottomans, and maybe even some other smaller neighbors. But make no mistake, in the hands of the player, Hungary is one of the most powerful nations located in Europe. We start off as a pretty large and powerful country. We got Croatia as a junior partner over here, and our amazing updated mission tree will enable us to go ahead and PU Bohemia, PU Poland and Lithuania, PU Austria, vassalize various nations around us, and even in the HRE if you want to, become the HRE Emperor, get the Burgundian succession, even though it's not related to the missions, and then expand all throughout this region of Europe and wherever else you want to. Hungary has also received other pretty significant updates, receiving a new unique tier 1 government reform, the Apostolic Kingdom, which gives us plus 10% recover army morale speed and plus 10% manpower in True Faith provinces, which is pretty powerful. And then we also have the unique sort of local organization right here, which gives us plus 25% local garrison size and local garrison army damage. But also, once we enact that, we gain 1 base manpower development in every province in that state for just 50 mil points, which is actually pretty powerful. Hungary's mission tree has also received a bunch of updates to its development-focused missions, which are this branch right here. This branch over here focuses on us subjugating our neighbors located in the Balkans and in Carpathia, while also PUing Poland. Then these missions down here focus on us further expanding over into the Ottomans and crushing them and knocking them out of Europe and maybe out of existence as well. And then some of these bottom branches right here focus on us PUing Bohemia, PUing Austria, and becoming the Holy Roman Emperor, along with dealing with Venice. Hungary's national ideas have also been changed up slightly, starting off with plus 20% cavalry combat ability, which is absolutely super powerful, minus 1% yearly army tradition decay. Then we have plus 25% cavalry to infantry ratio as a finisher, and in the meantime we have minus 1 national unrest, plus 20% national manpower, which is super powerful, plus 5% discipline, plus 10% tax, and minus 25% gold depletion chance, which is very good because we are going to have a lot of gold mines, plus 10% production efficiency, plus 25% provincial trade power, which is obviously excellent for inland focused nations like this. And then heretic and heathen provinces do not give any penalties, one of the most powerful ideas in the game, which will enable us to not have to worry about any religion that we conquer. So sit back, relax, and learn what you need to do as Hungary. Alright, here we are as Hungary. Now, as many of you know, we do start off in an interregnum right here, which means we don't have a ruler right at the start of the game, which means we can't just kick it off by declaring wars left and right. We need to wait for a certain event where we gain that certain region, and then obviously Ladislas Posthumus right here, which is the Austrian heir, also becomes our heir, and later, if we choose to, our ruler, which obviously we're not going to choose to do that, even though Austria will get slightly mad at that, will break the alliance with us, but we will be able to re-ally them later. So for now, really, we just have to wait for a certain event where we gain a ruler, and then we'll start declaring our wars. But in the meantime, you can go over into your states and summon the Diet. You can pick whichever agenda is best for you. Then we're going to give the clergy religious state, clerical advisory council, religious diplomats, and clerical education. Then we're going to give the nobility primacy of the nobility, increased levies, and aristocratic councillors, and additionally, Hungary has also received a unique nobles privilege right here, which is called expand the fortifications. These are the bonuses that we get. It's not really that useful unless you're focusing on a super defensive playstyle, but all of these fort bonuses paired with these local organization bonuses right here and some mission bonuses as well can make Hungary have absolutely insane forts. You can play with these if you want to, if that's the campaign you're going for, although I don't think it's really necessary that much. Then we're also going to give the burghers land of commerce, patronage of the arts, commercial advisory board, and indebted to the burghers. And there we go. Finally, we can seize land. At the start, Hungary isn't making that much money as we can see, but we do start off with a gold mine over here in Nitra that we're going to be developing very soon, and we're also going to probably conquer this gold mine as well fairly soon, so no need to worry about going into slightly heavier debt right at the start. So that's why I recommend you hire 3 advisors, get whichever level 1 admin advisor you want. I'm going to get this yearly inflation reduction guy, which is excellent for having a gold mine. Then get a diplorep or improve relations level 1 dip advisor. I have a diplorep guy, so I am going to hire him. And then get a morale, discipline, fort defense, or manpower level 1 mill advisor. I don't have any of those, so I'm just going to hire this land maintenance guy. Next, it's time to rearrange our armies a little bit, so you can go ahead and take both of these armies to Pest, and once they're there, we can merge them, and I'll tell you what to do. Additionally, we're also going to hire the free company right off the bat. Just like that. This also helps us focus on our missions because right at the start of this mission right here and this mission right here are missions we want to do. This old alliances mission right here will make us historical friends with Poland if we manage to secure an alliance with them. It is pretty rare. They usually rival right at the start. Either way, that's not something we want to do. What we do want to do is have Poland as a rival and have a larger army than them. That's the second requirement right there, and obviously if we do that, we gain a permaclaim on Wallachia and Moldavia, which is excellent because Wallachia will most likely be our first target. So that mission will pretty much get done by itself once we fix up the army right here. Next, it's time to secure some alliances. The first nation that you want to ally is obviously Austria. These guys are gonna break their alliance with us pretty soon, but don't worry, after that, after they stop being mad, we will be able to re-ally them. But for now, definitely secure an alliance with them. Then another nation you want to secure an alliance with is Moldavia right here. This is because due to slight changes in the mission tree, we have a way bigger chance of getting Moldavia as a subject ourselves rather than them staying independent or going to Poland. And for that, we do need to ally and royal marry them. And as we can see, if we complete this mission diplomatically, the likelihood of Moldavia siding with Hungary in the Romans invasion event will be doubled. So that's what we want to do. So definitely go ahead and secure an alliance and royal marriage with Moldavia as well. And the other 2 nations that you want to go ahead and get relations with is the Pope, try and ally the Pope, and then go ahead and royal marry Burgundy because we are going for the Burgundian succession. So those will be our relations: Austria, Moldavia, the Pope, and Burgundy. And obviously at this point we're going to go ahead and set some rivals too. I recommend rivaling Poland, Bohemia, and the Ottomans. Finally, with this 3rd free diplomat right here, I recommend that you start spying on Serbia. This is in case we can't declare on Wallachia. Right at the start, it's also not a bad idea to buy indulgence for your sins immediately to help you with your papal influence generation. Once the free company gets recruited, you will be able to take the mission Old Alliances, which gives us permaclaims on Wallachia and Moldavia. And then once you ally and royal marry Moldavia, you will also be able to take the mission Control Moldavia, and of course we gain permaclaims on some Polish areas, and the likelihood of Moldavia choosing us is doubled. So go ahead and take that mission for sure right after you ally and royal marry them. And there we go, just like that, Romans invasion actually happened super quickly. Usually it happens in 2 or 3 years, but there we go. Moldavia actually already chose me, and that is very likely that it'll happen in your campaign as well, Moldavia choosing to become your subject. Even if they don't become your subject, don't worry about that since we're gonna end up owning this land either way. This is just a little bonus right at the start that makes Poland a little weaker. Your game is not gonna go badly if you don't end up getting Moldavia anyway. Now at this point, you may also be able to take the mission Weaken Poland, which will grant us a restoration of Union CB on Poland. However, right now is actually the wrong time to take this mission. Don't take it just yet. That's because Poland doesn't have Lithuania just yet, and even though right now we're more powerful than them and maybe we could take them on, it's really not worth it, and that's not the route I generally recommend taking. We are going to deal with Poland and possibly Lithuania later on. We are going to PU them. Now is not the time. First, we actually want to go for Bohemia right here and PU them and rack up a couple of allies, maybe get the Burgundian succession, because Poland and maybe their subject Lithuania or even just their ally Lithuania is pretty strong. So we don't want to get bogged down with that right now. So even if you can take this mission right now, don't. I'll tell you the exact time where you need to start focusing on this. Either way, once your army is located in Pest, we're gonna go ahead and take this army and delete one cavalry regiment. Even though we're gonna play heavily with cavalry, right now we're still not gonna do that. That's gonna come in about 20-ish years. After you delete that cavalry regiment, build up a couple of more infantry regiments. 24 to be exact, along with the 4 free company. Once that's all done, you can definitely go ahead and turn off your forts and lower army maintenance to save some money. We're not doing anything right now, we're just waiting to get a ruler, then we'll start our wars. See, if something like this happens, which is exactly what's happening in my game, Wallachia being guaranteed by the Ottomans, that obviously means that we're not gonna do our first war versus them. Even though I still recommend it and I think it's the best way, if you can't, don't worry about it. That's why I recommended spying on Serbia or Bosnia right here. Obviously, we do have missions right here which relate to us dealing with Serbia and Bosnia. We get subjugation CBs on them and stuff like that, but I still think the best way to deal with these guys is just a regular war without going through the missions first, because obviously you won't be doing those missions first if you can't get through Wallachia first. So, the way we're gonna deal with Serbia and Bosnia is by full annexing Serbia and making Bosnia our vassal. That's how you should do it, even if you can do these missions that relate to subjugating them. We're just gonna declare a regular conquest on Serbia, co-belligerent Bosnia. That's how we deal with them. No need to worry about these missions. Now, our monarch point generation is super weak right at the start because we don't have a ruler, but either way, we're still gonna start developing our gold mine in Nitra right off the bat. So, after you do the setup, you can definitely go ahead and activate encourage development and dev this province up to 10 production. Try to use admin and diplo points on this since we want to stay up to date with Miltech. And there we go, this is an event you want to keep an eye out on, the successor of Vladislav III. Poland obviously chose to make Lithuania a junior partner, which is something that we do want to happen. And this is the event we were waiting for our ruler, the diet of whatever year it happens in. And this first option right here elects Janos Hunyadi as our regent. He's super strong, a 455 and a really good general as well. And then obviously we get Ladislas Posthumus as an heir, but Bohemia and Austria dislike us slightly for this. That's really no big deal. The second option right here is to keep the current council, basically stay without a ruler, and Ladislas becomes heir either way. Obviously, you know which option we're going to go with. We are going to elect Janos Hunyadi as our regent. And there we go. Just like that, we have a ruler, a very good ruler, and we have him as a general too, a super powerful general. I definitely recommend using him as a general because we are going to lose him as a ruler either way in just about 10 years right here. But now that you have your ruler, your game can definitely go ahead and start. So as soon as you get Janos Hunyadi, you're good to go ahead and declare on Wallachia if you can. If not, go ahead and declare on Serbia or Bosnia. And there we go, after about a year and a half, I finally managed to secure an alliance, and I will secure a royal marriage with Burgundy as well, and I finally have a claim on Serbia. So this is where your game starts, like I just said. If you can declare on Wallachia, go ahead and declare on them and full annex them. If you can't declare on Wallachia, declare on one of these two guys. I'm gonna declare on Serbia and obviously co-belligerent Bosnia. When you're fighting Serbia and Bosnia, whether it's your first war or your second war, it doesn't matter. What you are going to do is full annex Serbia and vassalize Bosnia, no matter when and how you fight them. Something I forgot to mention is that if you do end up getting Moldavia as a subject, definitely go ahead and activate strong duchies. If not, you're going to activate it later when we get 2 other vassals. At this point, I'm using one diplomat to improve relations with my own subjects and another one to improve relations with allies. And once you wrap up your war with Serbia and Bosnia, you should go ahead and vassalize Bosnia and take all of their money. And then go ahead and full annex Serbia. Don't worry about aggressive expansion with these guys. We're only going to fight a couple of Orthodox nations, and everyone over here won't actually care. So there we go. Full annex Serbia and take all of their money. Once you dev up Nitra up to 6, you will be able to take the mission Expand the Mint, which gives you a minus 50% local gold depletion chance for the next 30 years. No need to wait to have gold at 40% income or something like that to take this mission. The 2 base production is not really needed. At any point after you've vassalized Bosnia, whenever that is, whether in your first, second, or third wars, doesn't matter, you should aim to reconquer their cores from Herzegovina right here if they're owned by Herzegovina. If Venice or Ragusa conquered this, don't worry, we'll deal with it later. But if Herzegovina still exists, definitely go ahead and fight them to reconquer their cores. This may also be a way to get around a possible Ottoman guarantee on Wallachia if these two guys have allied each other. Not the case in my game, but still, there's the declaration. Once the war with Herzegovina is done, if you're even doing it at all, make sure to give these provinces back to Bosnia. After you wrap up your first war, whether it's versus these guys or these guys right here, you will end up getting a lot more Orthodox provinces. Now obviously, since Hungary has this idea and its national ideas, we're sort of not really meant to convert stuff as Hungary, but this relates more to possible Sunni provinces that we're going to conquer or something like that. In the meantime though, we can also deal with the religious disunity caused by the Orthodox provinces that we start off with and that we're gonna conquer, since we're not really meant to convert them. What you can do is go ahead and give the burghers grant Orthodox autonomy. This does make the clergy a little less loyal, but Orthodox and Coptic provinces do not cause a local religious disunity. Obviously, we can't convert them, but we don't suffer any penalties either. So definitely go ahead and give this privilege out after you conquer Wallachia or Serbia. At this point, I have developed the gold mine in Nitra up to 10 production. We'll do this one down here too, but first let's focus on teching up to tech 4 in every category and embracing the Renaissance. Then we're gonna dev this one too. Now obviously, if the Ottomans have guaranteed Wallachia like in my game right here, what you need to keep an eye out on is if the Ottomans end up fighting some of Wallachia's allies. Usually they'll end up allying some of these small guys down here, or someone over here, or maybe even someone like Theodoro or someone like that, or Circassia. So the Ottomans will obviously end up fighting any of their allies. When they do, that's when you strike. So as soon as the Ottomans declare on Biz right here, I'll also be declaring on Wallachia. So keep an eye out on stuff like that. We do need to take care of these guys. And there we go, there's the declaration. So that means the Ottomans are at war with Wallachia. Now is when we want to declare ourselves immediately. So definitely go ahead and declare a conquest for whatever if something like this does end up happening, and go ahead and take care of Wallachia as well. And there we go, now that I've defeated Wallachia, I'll be full annexing them. You'll be doing the same no matter when you conquer them. And there we go, that's that war done. After you annex Wallachia, whether it's your first or second war, you will be able to take the mission Deal with Dracula, where we gain a permaclaim on Croatia. And if we complete this mission basically before we fight Serbia and Bosnia, we'll get subjugation CBs on them. But even then, I do not recommend using the subjugation CBs. Like I said, I just recommend doing a straight up war like we did. Full annex Serbia, vassalize Bosnia, no need to do this. Otherwise, if you've done this mission after you've already dealt with them, well then, you'll just get some permaclaims. Just like that. We also gain local defensiveness and local fort maintenance in that area. And then obviously, after you've already taken care of Serbia and Bosnia, you will be able to take these two missions right here, Bosnian security, which if we complete it while Bosnia is our subject, they start liking us more. If we complete it after we annex them, we gain some admin points and lose local autonomy. Then, also we have the mission Subjugate Serbia, where it's the same deal. If we've annexed them, we get those points, but also, if we complete this mission while we have 2 subjects in the Balkans, Strong Duchies will give us an additional plus 50% vassal force limit contribution. Obviously, since we will have 2 subjects in the region of the Balkans, that's Croatia and Bosnia, the subjects that we'll have, that is the bonus that we're gonna get. So, I recommend taking the mission Bosnia Security after you annex Bosnia, because let's face it, 100 admin points is way better than Bosnia getting trust towards us or something like that. So only do this mission after you integrate or annex Bosnia. However, the mission Subjugate Serbia, definitely go ahead and take it immediately. Around this point, there'll be another mission you can do just simply by improving relations with Croatia, and that's this mission Integrate Croatia right here, where 5 provinces of Croatian culture will gain 1 random development, and we gain some Diplorep along with permaclaims on Istria and Dalmatia. There we go. This is very much needed because we do want to end up fighting Venice pretty soon right here. After you've dealt with Wallachia, Serbia, and Bosnia, and possibly Herzegovina, it's definitely time to chill a little bit, get our manpower back up, get our admin points generation especially back up, and make some money. But after we've dealt with those guys, it is time to move on to bigger guys, and those bigger guys are Venice and Bohemia. Now, obviously, we've gotten claims on Venice from that mission regarding Croatia, and these are definitely Venetian provinces that we do want to conquer, so that's our goal for the war in Venice. And then we probably don't have claims on Bohemia just yet, because for that mission, it needs to be after 1457, and you're most likely gonna wrap these guys up before 1457. So really, those are your 2 possible routes of expansion after you're done with the small guys. I recommend declaring on Venice while they're in a war with the Ottomans, because let's face it, sooner or later it is going to happen. The Ottomans are going to declare on Albania, Venice guarantees Albania, and that's how they get into that war. And that's when you can fight them. Alternatively, if Austria is willing to help you out right now, for example, like in my game, you could also declare while they're not in a war versus the Ottomans. In my game, however, they are allied to Aragon, and that is kind of annoying, so I am willing to wait personally for the Ottomans to fight them. Like I said, it is time to chill either way and get our admin points back up along with money and manpower. So no need to rush to declare on these guys. Either way, if it's after 1457, maybe it's easier for you to fight Bohemia first if you've gotten the claims on them from this mission right here. That happens only after 1457. So since I recommend chilling either way till probably around then-ish, you can definitely choose which of these guys to go for first. When you start getting your money up, definitely go ahead and start constructing marketplaces in the center of trade provinces. Once you get Tech 4 in every category, definitely make sure to activate the Encourage Development State Edict over in your capital state of Transdanubia and develop your capital Pest up to 30 dev. This is so we can help speed up the spawning of the Renaissance and tick off the age objective for a large development city. Obviously, make sure to expand infrastructure after you get it up to 15 dev. And this is a second very important event that we've been waiting for our nation, the Matthias Corvinus event right here, where the first option is to elect him as a king and then Austria gets removed as a historical friend. This is basically the option where we choose not to become a junior partner of Austria. Then the second option right here is we gain stability, we inherit Croatia, and we become a junior partner under Austria. Now, obviously, there are valid strategies with doing this option as well. You gain Austrian rivals to support your independence, and maybe you can eat them up or stuff like that, but I generally don't recommend that too much for newer players. I think the option you should go with is elect Matthias as king, and just like that, he will become our heir, who's a 4-5-6, really strong, and then another guy will come in and be the ruler until he becomes of age. This is the point where Austria starts hating us, and they will break the alliance with us, but don't worry, we'll be able to get them back as an ally in about 10-ish years. So there we go. Once you gain this event, choose this first option right there. And there we go, Austria broke the alliance with me, completely normal. When it's time to choose your tier 2 government reform, you may notice that we have a brand new one right here, and I gotta say, these new icons for Hungary's government reforms are really nice, but this one right here, extend the Unio Trium Nationum, or whatever it says, makes seizing land from the nobles not trigger any more rebels. We also gain -1 nationalist, plus 10% nobles loyalty, plus 10% nobles influence, and plus 1 max nobles privileges. Now, even though it is a unique one, I still don't think it's really that good, and I think the default ones are way better than it. Maybe this is just for the AI or whatever, but the option that I recommend you go with right here is either strengthen noble privileges or curtail noble privileges. We already got quite a lot of manpower modifiers, this one right here from the Apostolic Kingdom, the one that we're going to get right here from our national ideas, even more that we're going to get from idea groups that we pick and stuff like that, so maybe strengthen noble privileges isn't that needed. And additionally, we'll also become the HRE Emperor, and as we all know, there's a ton of manpower from that. But if you want to use it until you gain those modifiers, then that's definitely a valid choice. If not, I do recommend curtail noble privileges. Or you could even go compromise with the nobility. It's totally up to you. In my game, I'm gonna go with curtail noble privileges. Once it's after 1457 and once you get Matthias Hunyadi right here on the throne, basically once the regency with the other guy ends, you will also be able to take the mission Hungarian succession right here, which gives us 5 crown ownership, 20 prestige, and then we gain permaclaims on Moravia, Silesia, and Lusatia, these areas right here that Bohemia owns at the start of the game. And obviously you should go ahead and take that mission immediately. And now is pretty much where your chilling ends. By this point you should have wrapped up Wallachia, Serbia, Bosnia, and maybe Herzegovina, and now is when we really start fighting the big guys. Now obviously at this point you won't be allied to Austria because you will have rejected their personal union thingy right here, so you're not really gonna get help from them regarding calling them in versus Venice, or maybe they might even be willing to defend Bohemia. Now obviously if they're rivaled like this, which does happen quite often, even though they're the HRE Emperor, they might not be willing to defend Bohemia just like that. And in that case, that's definitely the right time to strike, because like I said, those are the two nations that we want to start expanding in right now. So in my game right here, Venice, I'm not going to get help from anyone except for the Pope, and they're allied to Aragon. They're not even fighting the Ottomans, so obviously it's not very smart for me to declare on Venice right here, since it would be a pretty annoying war. However, fighting Bohemia right here, Burgundy and the Pope would help out. Austria wouldn't help them even though they're the Emperor, and their minor ally of Trier here won't help them either. So this is a perfect opportunity for me to strike on Bohemia. After you take that mission, fight whichever one of these guys is easier for you to fight. And there we go. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and declare immediately for the conquest of, for example, this province right there. And there we go. Right now, I'm going to declare a conquest on them for, it doesn't matter which province, because the main provinces we actually want to get from Bohemia in this war is the provinces that they have over in the area of Silesia. Most likely their two vassals will have consolidated into one with some of the new things that Bohemia gets. But either way, these 5 provinces right here are our main focus. Because as we can see, to gain that restoration of Union CB on Bohemia, we need to own 5 provinces in those areas that are highlighted that we got claims on. Sure, you could take something else if you want to, but I think these 5 right here are the best. Really high def provinces, center of trade, and really nice trade goods being produced right there. Either way, I'm gonna declare for this province, for example, even though I'm not actually gonna take it. And there we go. There's the war with Bohemia for me started. And once you go ahead and defeat Bohemia, if you've been chilling like you should have so far, aggressive expansion will be good with all the HRE guys, and you can definitely go ahead and full annex Silesia, even though it is quite a lot of aggressive expansion. And that's really all you need in your first war versus Bohemia. You could take money or war reps or humiliate them if you want to, it's totally optional, but the bare minimum is all of these provinces right here. What I'm also going to do in my game right here is make them give these 3 provinces back to Brandenburg. They just conquer them from them. This will make them smaller and easier for us to PU them later on, less aggressive expansion, and also it's going to help me establish good relations with Brandenburg. And by the way, we do want to have good relations with the electors because obviously pretty soon right here, we are going to be gunning for the HRE emperorship. So that's what I'm doing. I'm taking all of Silesia, what you should do as well, and then whatever else you want to, I'm making them give back provinces. There we go. That's it. Obviously, after you take 5 provinces from Bohemia, you will be able to take the mission Bohemian Borderlands, which gives you a personal union CB on Bohemia. Obviously, don't do it just yet. We don't know what the situation is going to be like later, so we're saving it until we're exactly ready to declare. Now, after 1459, you will be able to integrate Croatia if you want to. However, I don't recommend doing that just yet. First, these are the 2 things you need to do. Obviously, reconquer their 2 cores from Venice. It is going to be cheaper, so why not do it? These are decently devved provinces. And then something else you want to do regarding Croatia is complete 2 of their missions right here. This one which requires you to dev 3 provinces in Slavonia, basically these 3 up to 10 development, and then you need to complete this mission as well, where you need to build a bunch of buildings over in this province. We're doing this mainly so we can spawn a level 2 center of trade in Zagreb and also gain some dev for free. So after you do these 2 missions, and after you give back Croatia's cores from Venice, then you can definitely go ahead and integrate them. Now, while we're waiting for our truce with Bohemia to expire, we might look into fighting Venice, or if you're looking for your truce with Venice to expire, or if you've already taken everything from them, then you're waiting for the right time to strike on Bohemia. Those are still our 2 targets. When you get the event, the army of Matthias I Hunyadi right here, this first option will enable you to establish the unique Black Army mercenary company that is only available for Hungary. This does give us -5% land force limit, but it's really no big deal, and the -10% nobles influence is actually pretty strong. And obviously we'll have a unique and very powerful mercenary company to hire. Then for the second option right here, you just gain mill points and nobles loyalty. Obviously, I recommend the first option. After you develop your capital and embrace the Renaissance, then you should definitely work on developing this gold mine up to 10 production as well. And once you notice that the Ottomans are fighting Venice, that is exactly the perfect time to strike on them as well, whether it's before or after 1457. In my game, the Iberian wedding has also happened, which means Aragon is no longer allied to Venice. They only have the Knights right here as an ally, and they're already fighting the Ottomans, so it's the perfect time to declare. In this first war versus Venice, what we're aiming to take right here is all of these provinces. This one, this one, this one, and this one, if we can. Any that we can't, we'll deal with whoever has them later. But right now is a perfect time to strike, so I'm just going to declare a reconquest for Zara right here, call in Burgundy, and there we go. Sorry, the Pope, not Burgundy. Once you hit Admin Tech 5, it will be time for your first idea group, and for your first idea group as Hungary, I still, in this patch as well, recommend aristocratic ideas. An underrated idea group that not a lot of people choose, but it is super powerful for any Eastern nations over here that have a lot of bonuses to their cavalry, such as Hungary. In Aristo, we get plus 15% cavalry combat ability, so along with the 20 that we already have, that's a 35% from literally nothing. Then obviously we have the dev discount and a plus 15% national manpower, which is going to make manpower absolutely insane. The cav discount and cav to infantry ratio is great. The army and navy tradition decay are great. The diplomat and general costs are super useful. The unjustified demands and cost to fabricate claims are awesome, along with the monthly autonomy change and yearly absolutism. And the leader siege and nobles loyalty is very, very important as well. It also has some really nice policies with other idea groups that we're going to take as well. So for your first idea group, definitely aristocratic ideas. And once you go ahead and defeat Hungary, you should definitely take these 3 provinces, super important for a mission. Then you can take this one right here too if you manage to occupy it, and then you can take whatever else you want to, but I do think this is pretty good for the first war, conquest-wise. I'm also going to take war reps, humiliate them, and some money. And there we go. That's my war with Venice done. Now, this was a pretty important mission to take care of right here that we actually still haven't done yet, and that's the mission Recover Dalmatia. For that mission, we need to own the entire Dalmatia area. Now, with this war versus Venice, we already got 2 provinces right here, but the last one that we need is the province of Ragusa right here. And as we all know, Ragusa is pretty tricky to conquer before fighting the Ottomans because they are being guaranteed by the Ottomans. Now, I think the best way to do it is to actually take care of them before you fight the Ottomans because it is related to a very important mission right here. After we recover Dalmatia, we're able to take this mission, and if Naples is independent, we will receive a restoration of Union sea beyond them. If they're not independent, it's just permaclaims for the provinces that Naples owns. And Naples is a really, really good nation that we need to PU. So at this point, after you've taken care of Venice right here, you do need to figure out a way to fight Ragusa without actually fighting the Ottomans. Maybe declaring on a Ragusan ally. Sometimes they ally the Pope, sometimes Epirus, sometimes they're in some sort of trade league and you can end up fighting them without fighting the Ottomans. In my game, what I'm going to try and do right here is actually declare on the Pope here for literally no reason. I'm not even going to take anything from the Pope because we do want to have good relations with them. And in that same war, just focus on Ragusa because as we can see, they are allied to the Pope. So that's what I'm going to try and do right now so we can get a restoration of Union CB on Naples. Obviously, if there's no way to fight them, we're going to take care of all of this regarding them and Naples later after we deal with the Ottomans. But we'll only deal with the Ottomans after we deal with Bohemia, Poland, and Lithuania. After Austria loses their restoration of Union CB on you, which should be around the mid-1460s, you definitely will be able to re-ally them. And you should definitely go ahead and do it. Even though we're going to end up fighting them too, we still need their help first versus some other guys around us. Obviously, don't forget to lower autonomy everywhere from time to time. And actually, it's a good thing that the Pope got pieced out in this war with Venice because we're not allied and the truce started ticking away faster. So now, as soon as my truce with the Pope is up, I'm going to go ahead and declare on them, like I said, only so we can annex Ragusa without fighting the Ottomans first. Maybe that'll enable us to PU Naples and have additional help versus Poland, Lithuania, and the Ottomans. Usually you end up getting Naples after Bohemia, but it depends. At this point, I've completed Croatia's missions right here, and we have spawned a level 2 center of trade in Zagreb, which is absolutely excellent. After this, you can definitely go ahead and integrate them if you want to. If not, you can definitely keep them around. It's totally up to you. No other missions rely on this, I don't think. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and integrate them. Obviously, make sure to give the nobles the integration policy as well, just like that. If Burgundy ends up calling you into any conquest wars, definitely make sure to help them out. We actually want Burgundy to expand as much as possible. We are gonna end up, most likely, inheriting them. Your game won't go badly if you don't end up getting the Burgundian succession, but it's always something we can try for. Once you gain a certain amount of income, you will be able to take the mission A Strong Economy, where the production building there will get upgraded, and if one doesn't exist, it'll get built. Make sure to definitely build a workshop right here before taking that mission. For your first stage ability, make sure to take Justified Wars. For your Tier 3 government reform, you also have another unique option, just like for Tier 1 and Tier 2, and that is Continue the Renaissance, a seemingly pretty powerful Tier 3 government reform that gives us 100 monarch points of each category when we embrace an institution, along with minus 10% institution embracement cost and plus 10% institution spread. But realistically, we're only going to be getting 300 monarch points every 50 years. How relevant is that for our gameplay when I think there are other options right here that will utilize much more, such as centralized monarchical bureaucracy, expanded royal court, or even representatives of the crown, which is really good for playing with subjects like we are gonna do pretty much for the entirety of the campaign. So another right here, I think possibly trick option to trick you into using it because it's just new, but I don't think either of these two options are better than what we already have. So even though this one is pretty cool, it's still not that much when you really think about it. I still recommend representatives of the crown since we're going to be playing with subjects so heavily. Now that I've built a workshop over in Pest, now I'm going to go ahead and take the mission A Strong Economy, and just like that, we gain some development and that building will get upgraded, just like we can see right here, to a counting house. Super, super powerful. After that, you most likely will already be able to take the mission The Great City of Buda as well, which gives us some nice temporary modifiers for 20 years, and the event The Production Focus in Pest happens, which is actually really, really important. Let's take a look at it. And there we go, just like that, there's the event, and we can go ahead and actually choose the trade good that we're gonna change to over in Pest. Right now, obviously, it's grain, not a very good trade good at all, but we can go ahead and change it to cloth, awesome, copper, awesome, iron, awesome, glass, awesome, or we can remain with what we have, basically the grain trade good right here. Now, if you open up the trade goods map, you can definitely take a look at the cost of these trade goods if that's what's most important to you. As we can see, cloth, the value of it is 3 right now. If we want to take a look at iron, the value of iron is also 3 right now. The value of glass is also 3, which will increase, by the way, and then the last one was actually copper. Let's take a look at that. So the value of all of these is 3 right now, but obviously these have other things that contribute, not just the value. So local recruitment type for copper, we have the minus 20% local construction time. With iron, the plus 10% local production efficiency for glass, which is really nice, and obviously for cloth we have the minus 10% dev discount. Now, since this province is already farmlands, that makes it cheaper to dev. Since we have a level 2 center of trade, once again, it's cheaper to dev. Since we expanded infrastructure, it's cheaper to dev. Since we have it as our capital, it's cheaper to dev. And I do think changing the trade good to cloth right here, once again, is going to make it even cheaper to dev. The combination of a center of trade, farmland, cloth producing province is some of the best in the world. So even though you can go with whichever one of these you want, maybe even glass to spawn fast setting if you want to, and flip it to gems, I still do recommend cloth the most. Now that we've chilled a little bit and I'm still waiting for my truce with Bohemia to expire so we can PU them, I'm gonna go ahead and declare on the Pope for the only reason of annexing Ragusa right here without actually fighting the Ottomans. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Declaration on the Pope, and let's go ahead and take Ragusa. I'm not gonna do anything with the Pope. As soon as I get Ragusa, I'm just gonna go ahead and white peace everyone and attempt to establish an alliance with the Pope once again. If you can do something like this too, definitely go ahead and try for it. If not, you're gonna end up owning Ragusa anyway later, so don't worry about it. Right now, I've just annexed Croatia. And right now, Ragusa will accept being separate pieced, and I will go ahead and full annex them and take all of their money. And there we go. That's that war pretty much done. Now I'll just white piece the Pope as soon as I can. Now, obviously, once you take Ragusa as well, whether it's before or after you fight the Ottomans, it doesn't matter. You will be able to take the mission Reconquer Dalmatia, which will give us a base production development point in the Dalmatia area. We'll start building 5 boats for free and 25% of the time, and we gain permaclaims on the provinces that Naples owns, or a restoration of Union CB as well if they're independent. Obviously, just like with any restoration of Union CB that we get, whether it's the one versus Bohemia that we're still waiting to take, whether it's the one versus Poland that we're still waiting to take, or the one versus Austria later on, we're also gonna wait to take this one as well, because we're not really sure if we can fight Naples right off the bat. Let's go ahead and check and see in my game, and in my game, they're not really that strong. They have expanded a little bit over here in Tuscany, as we can see. They're allied to Lucca, but also they're allied to Austria, which obviously makes it annoying, since Austria will help them out. So that's why for now, I've been currying favors with Austria ever since I re-allied them in order to make them break the alliance with Naples so we can just easily fight Naples and PU them. Like I mentioned earlier, most likely you'll be getting Naples after you get Bohemia, but obviously it's different in anyone's game, and if it's easier for you to get Naples first or something like that, then definitely go for it. But generally, the order in which we get our PUs are Bohemia, then Naples, then Poland, Lithuania, then Austria. And obviously Burgundy right here is just a bonus. And there we go, now I'll just white piece the Pope. Now, before fighting the Ottomans, I do recommend taking this mission right here. Obviously, you can take it ahead of time since the effects will only get active once we're at war with them. But anytime you can, make sure to build a fort in some of the border provinces that we have with the Ottomans, mainly the mountain provinces. Obviously, we'll have this border fort with them right here, this one right here that we start off with, and then I recommend that you build one fort in some of these provinces right here. Whether it's one of these two that are mountain provinces or this one, which is the gold producing province, still, I think it's the best to build it right here in this mountain coastal province. So there we go. After you get all of this, you can definitely delete some forts right here. I deleted the one right here. I'm also going to delete the one right here, just like that, and the one that I took from Ragusa. And instead, I'm going to build one right here in this coastal mountain province. At this point, since the manpower is really good and the force limit is really good as well, I'm running 2 armies right now. Our combat width is 24, and we do have really good cap combat ability. So instead of running 24 armies, which would be the normal army composition for a non-cavalry focused nation, right now instead of that, I'm running 16. 8. Around this time, you should look to ally another nation, because obviously we have Burgundy, Austria, and the Pope most likely, and we're going to start PUing guys. Nations that I recommend you ally aside from these guys that are going to help you versus Poland and Austria later on are someone like Castile or Muscovy. It's totally up to you which nation you ally. I'm going to go with Muscovy right here, but because they're also rival to Austria, if one of them threatens to break the alliance with me, I am going to keep Austria. So there we go. There's another alliance. Once your truce with Bohemia has expired after you took those initial provinces from them, you definitely need to go ahead and assess the situation and see if you're ready to take this mission and see if you're ready to PU them. Let's take a look at the aggressive expansion situation in my game. It's pretty good. I don't think any coalitions will form. And let's take a look at Bohemia's alliances, small allies that we can definitely take down. And finally, what we need to see is if Austria still isn't willing to help them out. Most likely they won't be willing to help them out in your game as well, and in my game, yes, they aren't willing to help out, so that's perfect. Now that we're ready, now we can go ahead and take that mission. So once you've assessed all of that, go ahead and take the mission Bohemian Borderlands, and just like that, you gain a restoration of Union CB on Bohemia. And obviously, since we're ready to declare, we're gonna go ahead and declare, call in whichever nation you can call in, and there you go. There's your second war with Bohemia, the one where you PU them started. And during this war, the Burgundian succession happened as well, and luckily Burgundy did choose me. That's perfect. That's what you want to happen in your game as well. But like I said earlier, don't worry if you don't get these guys. Obviously, you can always Alt F4, reroll it, and hope that they do end up choosing you. But even if they don't worry about it. We are not really aiming to expand over in this region in a regular Hungary game. But if you did end up getting Burgundy, that's perfect. There's another subject, and now you're even more powerful. With Burgundy, I generally hope that I don't get the horse event and we don't end up inheriting them. I do think that playing as Hungary, it's better to actually keep them around as a subject. But obviously, if you do end up getting them, and if you do end up inheriting them, it's definitely not a bad thing. It's just a playstyle preference. Now, something I did forget to mention is that when you do end up getting Burgundy, the Imperial Incident, the Burgundian inheritance will happen, and most likely Austria will demand for you to release the lowlands as independent countries, basically every nation over here. Now, normally what you would do, and hopefully you get the Burgundian succession during peace, is that during that time between getting the Burgundian succession and between this event popping up is you gain as many allies as you can. And at that point, you're not choosing at all. You're allying whoever you can. Any big nation over in Italy, maybe Milan, Genoa, maybe Portugal, Castile, Aragon, Denmark, Brandenburg, Brunswick, Cologne, Switzerland, whoever, the Palatinate, all of these guys will defend you in your war versus Austria. That's obviously going to happen right now, since Austria will demand the lowlands, and we will reject that and will automatically end up at war versus Austria. So after you get Burgundy, get as many allies as you can, so when you do this, the war versus Austria is as easy as possible. Obviously, I couldn't do that since I was already at war with Bohemia, and you can't get allies when you're at war. Either way, I was going to keep going right here, but let's call it because I do need to fight Austria briefly. Obviously, we'll end up reallying them after this is done because we do want to keep them around still, all the way until we're ready to PU them. Either way, when you're dealing with Bohemia, after you gain 60% war score, you can definitely go ahead and select the Union with Bohemia option, take as much money as you can, and there we go, no coalitions. Now, you have Bohemia as a junior partner. Obviously, if they're disloyal or something like that, get them loyal immediately and try and get them above 0 opinion as fast as you can, either by paying off their debts or supporting loyalists or improving relations, whatever. Now let's go and deal with Austria very briefly and just white peace them. When you do the same war right here, this war that Austria declares on you for Burgundy, just white peace these guys. Don't take anything from them. Obviously, after PUing Bohemia, you will be able to take the mission right here, the Crown of St. Wenceslas, where we gain 25 power projections, some bonuses to estates, and if we complete this mission by making Poland a junior partner and their own elector, we will get the event membership in the Empire, where we will attempt to enter the HRE, which is actually something we do want to do, even though we're so huge, because pretty soon we're going to be going for the HRE emperorship right here. Obviously, I'm not doing it right now because I'm at war with Austria, the current emperor, and they might not actually let us in. So after I wrap this up and get relations with Austria up a little bit, then I'm going to take this mission. Hopefully, you can take it right away after you PU Bohemia, and you'll be accepted into the HRE right away. Either way, another mission you want to take is the Scourge of Europe right here. After you build up that fort, you gain permaclaims on Bulgaria and Silistria, and you will gain those bonuses right there that you're seeing when you fight the Ottomans, which is going to be pretty soon after we PU Poland, Lithuania, and Naples. And now that I've beaten Austria a little bit, it's time to end the war. I was going to just white peace them, but since I lost all the favors with them due to this war, I can't actually make them end their alliance with Naples, so that's why I'm going to make them end their alliance with Naples from here. No money, no war reps, nothing like that. We don't want these guys to hate us. And there we go, just white peace them when they declare for Burgundy. And as we can see, I immediately re-allied them. Now that I got relations with Austria up a bit, I sent them a gift, I scornfully insulted their rival, you know the deal. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take this mission right here, the Crown of St. Wenceslas, where we gain those bonuses, and this event happens. Obviously, regarding this event, we are gonna choose this first option right here, the Imperial Incident Hungary wishes to join the Empire will become active, and most likely, Austria, or whoever the Emperor is, they will let us into the HRE, which obviously will make it way easier for us to become the Emperor, and we will also gain Bohemia's electorate slot, which means we don't have to go down to a duchy, we can remain a kingdom. That's mostly related, obviously, to governing capacity. So after you take this mission right here, choose this first option, Hungary belongs in the Empire. Either way, after you've PU'd Bohemia, it's time to chill just a little bit, because after this, we're going to be going for Naples, and if we can't PU them, basically if you only got the conquest CBs on them, don't worry about that. We're just going to forget about them, deal with that later, and instead we're going to focus on Poland. So, after Bohemia, chill, If you can go for Naples, we're gonna go for it. If not, we're gonna go for Poland. For your second idea group as Hungary, I have a couple of suggestions. First, you could go with a money-making idea group, and for that, I recommend economic. All of these bonuses that we're gonna get mesh really well because they're also bonuses we already have, so we're just gonna be stacking modifiers. The merchant is excellent, the inflation reduction is excellent, and the goods produced is super powerful. Then you could also go for a relations-focused idea group such as diplomatic and influence right here. Obviously, we have quite a few subjects already. We had Croatia, we annexed them. We have Bosnia, Moldavia, Bohemia, Burgundy. We're gonna get more pretty soon. Naples, Poland, Lithuania, Austria, nations that we're gonna release from the Ottomans, such as Bulgaria and Byzantium, even more over here. And obviously, we wanna become the HRE emperor as well, have more relations slots, ally a bunch of electors so we can get elected. So all of those things are super important. The diplomatic gameplay is absolutely huge as Hungary, maybe even as big as the Austrian one, if not slightly less. So for that reason, I recommend either diplomatic or influence. Both of them are really good for what we're trying to do right here. And even though I like Diplo slightly more for regular gameplay, I do think influence is slightly more suited here simply because of the amount of subjects that we have and that we're gonna have. So for your second idea group, either economic, Diplo, or influence, but I do think influence is probably the one to go with. And there we go. A year after that event happens over in the HRE, you will most likely be accepted over in the HRE, and there we go. That's perfect. Now we are a part of the Holy Roman Empire, and we are also an elector, and obviously we're going to be voting for ourselves. At this point, once you enter the HRE and become an elector, I do recommend allying 3 more electors, Brandenburg, and then 2 of these guys right here, the Palatinate, Trier, Mainz, and Cologne, or whoever you want to. You could definitely even go for Saxon. So 3 electors, whichever ones you want. And actually, just like that, just a couple of months after I entered the HRE, the Austrian ruler died, and I have been elected the HRE emperor. Obviously, Austria was not eligible, as we can see right here, because they had a female ruler, so it was obviously a no-brainer. And there we go. You should get elected relatively quickly after you join the HRE as well, and this is perfect for us. You can definitely continue to play the HRE game from here, you know, try and get imperial authority up, try and quell, you know, the Protestant Reformation, to pass reforms, maybe even end up revoking the privilege, or you could just do nothing, just stay allied to these electors so you can take advantage of these emperor bonuses right here instead of playing the Diplo game as well. It's totally up to you. In my game right here as Hungary, what I like to do is just stay the emperor for the sake of being emperor and not really focus on passing reforms, just taking advantage of the bonuses that we get to our income and to our manpower and to our force limit. Regarding imperial incidents, I'm sure you know most of them by now, but just always choose the option that's not gonna lose you imperial authority if you're going for the imperial gameplay. With the Teutons right here, I'm gonna allow them to join, but put heavy regulations on them. Now, once you build 5 churches right here, and the easiest way to complete the rest of these requirements is, I think, to complete 2 clergy agendas, then you'll be able to take the mission Fund the Monasteries, where we get a half-cost skill 2 missionary advisor, and if we don't have a church in our capital, one will get built. Obviously, after that, you'll be able to take the mission Unity and Belief as well, where religious diplomats will give us an additional +10 opinion of the same religion countries and +10 opinion of countries from other religions as well, which makes it super powerful. And then you'll be able to take this mission as well, which gives us a 5% tech discount and a 10% idea discount for 20 years. Very powerful. And it also upgrades our monument right here, which at tier 1 gives us +10% institution spread. This other mission right here, you can focus on it if you want to, develop this province up to 25. And this mission right here is actually pretty powerful. If we take a look at what it gives us, it's super unique. Basically, every time we unlock a national idea for the first time, we gain 25% reform progress, and we also gain an additional 25% reform progress for every national idea that's already been unlocked. So we have 2 unlocked ones right here. That's 50 reform progress, and there we go, 25, 25, 25, 25, 25 for all of these. So a really powerful mission right here. It'll enable us to get to tier 4 and tier 5, and obviously everything else way faster. So no need to really start pouring in points into developing this province if you don't have them, but if you do have them, definitely get it up as fast as you can. Obviously, you're going to be activating Encourage Development. Once again, I also recommend upgrading this to a level 2 Center of Trade if you haven't already. And as we can see, this province is extremely cheap to develop. I'm going to bump it up once, expand infrastructure so it's even cheaper, and then we can go ahead and get it up to 25. And there we go, I immediately pushed it up to 25, a very nice province to develop as well. And now we can take this mission right here, and there we go, boom, just like that. There's some additional government reform progress. Super nice and a very unique mission. After a couple of years have passed, after you PU'd Bohemia and aggressive expansion has died down a little bit, maybe you've also been elected HRE Emperor, you're for sure in the HRE either way, it's time to move on with your PU missions. And like I said earlier, if you can fight Naples to PU them specifically, that's what we're gonna do. If you just got the claims on them, or if they don't exist or something like that, just forget about Naples and we'll deal with Poland. Or maybe even Naples has some really strong allies or something like that, and Poland is simply the easier nation to PU. So after you get done with Bohemia, it's time to look for one of these two guys to fight. In my game specifically, I'm going to be going for Naples. They have grown quite large, as we can see. They took a bunch of provinces from the Pope, took a bunch of provinces over here, so they are larger than normal. And additionally, they also don't have their cores back from Aragon just yet, which is excellent, so we can do a little bit of reconquest from them too. Obviously, just like with the other PUs, we're going to assess the situation. They even have a coalition going against them. They're only allied to Lucca, so it's going to be super easy to fight these guys. So whenever you're ready, if these guys are independent, if you got the PU CB on them, let me repeat that once again, then you're going to go ahead and take the mission Recover Dalmatia. We gain, among other things, the Restoration of Union CB on Naples. And obviously, because we're ready to declare, we're going to kick off right away. And there we go, there's our declaration on Naples. For your tier 4 government reform, since we're planning to stay Catholic for the entirety of the campaign, I do recommend taking lands for the church. After you get Miltech 7, just like I did right now, and after you finish off Aristo, what I recommend that you do is that you go ahead and activate the local organization in some of these areas right here that specifically feature border forts close to the Ottomans. This is a no-brainer, and you're going to want to do it anyway in every single area that you can, because let's face it, 50 mil points for, let's say, 6 points of mil dev right here is absolutely insanely cheap. Just deving 2 provinces once in mil is already more expensive than that, and all of these other bonuses that we get right here are obviously super nice. So once you get Miltech 7 and once you finish Aristo, make sure to check the local organization thingy over in Wallachia, let's say, over in this area right here, in this area right here too, and in this one right here too. Obviously later, you're going to want to do it in each of these whenever you have the spare points. And once you defeat Naples, if you ended up doing this war at all, you're simply going to go ahead and select the Union with Naples option right here and take all of their money. Obviously, a coalition is not going to form if you chilled for long enough after you PU'd Bohemia. And there we go. There's another war done, and just like that, there's another junior partner established. Now I seem to have found myself in a little coalition war right here versus all of these guys right here that declared on Naples, so no big deal, let's just go ahead and white peace them. And by the way, just so it's clear, if any newer players are watching, this isn't a coalition war that was declared on me. This was a coalition war declared on Naples that I just inherited. Once you do go ahead and PU Naples, you will be able to take the mission Legacy of Louis the Great, which gives us minus 10 years of separatism and plus 5% admin efficiency. Pretty strong modifiers, unfortunately they are temporary. And if we complete this mission by PUing them, integrating a subject won't give us minus 3 diplorep anymore, which means we can definitely get rid of the nobility integration policy right here, and additionally, we'll also gain 100 splendor upon integrating a personal union. So definitely go ahead and take it, or alternatively, you could save it for when you're preparing for some super huge conquests for that plus 5% admin efficiency, although I think it's better off taking advantage of now. There are also some very nice scripted flavor events for Hungary in this latest update, such as this event right here, which gives us an absolutely insane 4-4-4-2 general. I definitely think you should go ahead and take him as a general instead of offering him a position at court or taking this option right here. Either way, once you PU Naples, it's time to chill a little bit and wait for aggressive expansion to die down, because our next target after this to PU is Poland, and if you already PU'd Poland and you're not going for Naples at all, now it's time to get ready to fight the Ottomans. So remember, we're doing the Ottomans only after we deal with Poland and Lithuania. As always, make sure to get your junior partners above 0 opinion as fast as possible. Now, sooner or later, you're actually going to get a pretty bad event here as Hungary, the decline of royal power, and this first option right here is we gain the powerful magnates modifier until the death of our current ruler, which gives us minus 3 national unrest, minus 10% national tax, and 25% increase in tech and idea cost, along with nobles loyalty. These modifiers, as you can see, are really bad for teching up and taking ideas. And then this other option right here isn't good either. We lose 3 stability and we get to fight some nobles, and the nobles lose a bunch of loyalty. Now, depending on how old your current ruler is, let's see he's like 50 or 60 and maybe you can even abdicate with him, not while this event is happening though, obviously, then you're better off taking this first option and just getting rid of this guy if he's old or waiting for him to die. However, if he's fairly young, maybe in his 40s or 30s or 20s or something like that, then you should definitely take this second option. Yes, you will lose a bunch of stab, but it's still way better than all of these negative modifiers right here. So in my game right here, Matthias Hunyadi the first right here, he is 47. I do think he's probably going to rule to around 60-ish, which is average. So 13 years of these modifiers Not something I want to deal with. I'm instead just gonna lose the stab and fight the nobles. Right now I noticed that I can pass a second imperial reform. Obviously if you're focusing on this, then that's great. If you're not, still great, you should still go ahead and take it. Obviously this entire game we're not just focusing on PUing and conquering guys. You should definitely get burger loans whenever you can and focus on your economy as well. As we can see, I've built up all the marketplaces, I've built a bunch of production buildings as well. There are still some high value trade good provinces that we need to tick off. We can also do a bunch of churches right here, and we'll definitely build courthouses as soon as they're unlocked. So focus on buildings as well. Don't be afraid to take out any loans, even though we're making a decent amount of money. Once you've chilled a bit and let aggressive expansion die down from PUing Naples, or if you're not doing that at all, it is time to check and see if we are ready to go ahead and PU Poland. Obviously, by this point, once you have a bunch of subjects and once you've expanded a bunch yourself, you will be able to take this mission right here because we will have more development than Poland, obviously a larger army as well. There are certain points in the game earlier where you could have taken this mission, but obviously that was not the right time. Now, after we're done with these guys, is the right time. So, obviously, first we need to check Poland's situation and aggressive expansion. Aggressive expansion is good. Poland's situation, they have Lithuania as a junior partner, which is something we do want to happen, and they're allied to Sweden, Gotland, and Riga, which doesn't make the war versus them too difficult. Okay, 2 out of 3 things are working well for us. If we go to declare war right here, we can see that a bunch of our allies would help as well. Muscovy is going to come in from this side, which makes things very handy. And there we go. We're pretty much ready to declare. So once you're ready to declare, then you're going to take this mission right here. And there we go. Just like that, we receive the restoration of Union CB on Poland. And now when we PU them, we'll get them and Lithuania as well. Don't worry if you don't get Lithuania, it's not going to ruin your game. Just like the Burgundy thing, those 2 nations are just bonuses. So, after you taking that mission, you can go ahead and declare a restoration of union over on Poland, call in your allies to make this war as easy and as quick as possible. It would be ideal that you're allied to Muscovy so that you have someone attacking them from this side as well, but even without Muscovy or without any allies, you and your personal union subjects will be able to do this. And there we go, there's your declaration on Poland. And as always, once you get about 60-ish% war score versus a nation you're aiming to PU, you're good to go ahead and peace out. And as always, you're gonna go and select the union with whichever nation you're fighting peace option. This is, of course, 80 aggressive expansion, which, let's be real, it is quite a lot. But is it quite a lot for literally all of Poland and Lithuania? I don't think so. Still, if you waited long enough, you shouldn't really have a problem with this. As we can see, these nations might join a coalition, but I'm gonna have a truce with Poland. They're gonna be my subject. They can't join, and the 3 other guys are not enough to form a coalition. So there we go. There's our union with Poland and possibly Lithuania. You can take as much money as you want or can, and that's another war done. By concluding the war versus Poland or Poland and Lithuania, we conclude what I like to call the early game PU subjects, which are obviously Bohemia, Naples, possibly Burgundy, Poland, and possibly Lithuania. And the only one that's left is Austria, which we are gonna take care of after we deal with the Ottomans. But now that these guys are done, those are pretty much the most important subjects you're gonna have. After that, you will be able to take the mission Jagiellonian Union as well, where we gain Polish as an accepted culture, and we'll gain that modifier for a minus 10% cap cost and +1 max promoted cultures, along with permaclaims on some further areas that Poland or Lithuania might not own by this point in the game. Obviously, as soon as you PU Poland, definitely go ahead and take that mission. These are the claims that we get. And then if Poland obviously has expanded into the Teutons, or if the Danzig event has happened, or if there's a Prussia there that's a Polish subject, you will be able to take the mission Teutonic Advance right here, where Poland pretty much gains some dev over in Königsberg. Definitely go ahead and take that mission as well. But now that that's all done, it's time to prepare for our first war versus the Ottomans, which is gonna be our main target right now for the foreseeable future until we knock them down. Alternatively, if you got the Burgundian succession, you could open up France as a route of expansion as well if you want to. Like I said, it's not really necessary to go over here and expand over here in a regular Hungarian playthrough. Your focus will mostly be over in this region right here. But obviously, it's totally up to you. So, now that I've PU'd Poland, I'm gonna go home and chill a bit, get Poland and Lithuania to like me, and then it's time to declare on the Ottomans. You'll be doing the same. Once you've chilled a bit from your conquest versus Poland, it is time to get started with the Ottomans and finally knock them down. Now, a mission that I recommend that you also do, so you get some other bonuses along with the bonuses that we're going to get from this mission right here, is this one right here, which is going to give us some CCR, Merc Discipline, and Army Tradition. And for this, right now, I only need to build up my army to 100% of the force limit. Most likely, you will have to only do that as well. As we can see, everything else is ticked off. Now, I do recommend doing this right now because later it's going to get more difficult as our force limit is larger and you're not always going to be built up to force limit. So in order to take this mission, you could simply take out a couple of loans just like that and just recruit a couple of mercenary companies, maybe get the Black Army up and running as well, just like that. And now I'm also going to get the Grand Company up as well, and that'll put us a bit above force limit, but it's no big deal since it will allow us to take that mission. And there we go, just like that, those companies have been recruited and we can take this mission right here as well. And right now we're ready to declare on the Ottomans. Obviously you can get rid of these guys if you want to. I'm going to keep them around for this war since they're not costing that much anyway. And there we go, it's time to declare on the Ottomans. If your allies are willing to join, call them in. None of my allies want to help out, but it's no big deal. Obviously we and our subjects can totally go ahead and do it. So just declare war for whatever. I'm going to declare for this province right here, for example, since it's easy to hold on to. And there we go, there's your first declaration versus the Ottomans. In this initial war, we're aiming to take provinces sort of in this area so we can release Byzantium and potentially Bulgaria from as well, along with taking some provinces for ourselves. At this point, I've wrapped up influence as well. This is how the war versus the Ottomans is going pretty well. Make sure to take this policy, obviously. Now, for your tier 5 government reform, you have two more unique government reforms right here. First, we have this one right here, which makes us get 0.1 bonus army tradition when overrunning enemy armies, along with another minus 20% cap discount and another plus 25% cavalry to infantry ratio. Now we're already at 80%, which means pretty soon we'll be able to run full cavalry armies if we wish to, but there's really no need, obviously. Then we also have the expanded Black Army government reform, which is actually really powerful. This makes mercenary companies not cost any army professionalism. We gain plus 100 merc manpower, plus 100% army tradition from battles, minus 50% war taxes, and that allows mercenary units to drill as well, which is a super interesting modifier. Now, both of these are pretty good, but how good are they for everything that's following, right? As the game goes on, we do tend to use less and less mercenary companies since our force limit will increase, our actual armies will become stronger and stuff like that. So we will be relying on mercs way less, not that we were relying on them pretty heavily so far. So you could definitely go with one of these unique ones, but once again, I do feel like they're not the obvious choice, so you could definitely go with everything else over here. The fort stuff is really great. The fort bonuses to defensive stance right here are really good, along with the other stuff that we already have, such as the local organization and stuff like that. So there's definitely lots of options for your tier 5 government reform. Either way, the ones that I recommend are military engineering, defensive stance, this one or this one. You won't make a mistake with either one of them. Personally, I'm gonna go with military engineering because I do tend to barrage quite a lot in my games. But like I said, all four of those are really good. And once you absolutely obliterate the Ottomans in your first war versus them, here's what I recommend taking. First, I recommend taking a couple of provinces over here that we can release Bulgaria from. Then I recommend doing something like this, a couple of provinces that we can release Byzantium from as well. Then I recommend taking one province over in Anatolia just so you have an easy time crossing in all of your next wars. And then with the rest of the war score, you can just take some provinces right here in the Balkans or in Anatolia that we have no one to release from, or whatever else you want. For example, me, I'm just gonna give this one province right here to Lithuania for absolutely no reason at all. And there we go. That's your first war with the Ottomans done. It may seem like we're not taking that much, but obviously we are taking their capital, Constantinople, and this is quite a lot of aggressive expansion, but this is the first time we're fighting a Sunni nation, so no one will really be mad. And obviously we're already the most powerful nation in the world, so even if someone is mad, well, we don't care. And there we go. That's your first war with the Ottomans done. A couple of provinces for Bulgaria, a couple of provinces for Biz, and a couple of provinces for yourself. At this point, obviously, you're going to go ahead and release the nation of Byzantium just like that. You can even give them back Constantinople at this point, even though it's probably not going to be their core. If you do give it back to them, it will go back to being Orthodox and Greek, which is sort of better for us. The culture doesn't matter, but the religion definitely will, at least until we unlock this idea right here. Additionally, you can also release Bulgaria if you want to. This is an optional choice. I'm going to do it in my game right here. We got some cores for them we need to reconquer as well, and obviously a bunch of course for Byzantium as well. So there we go. That's that war done. There's Byzantium right there. I am gonna grant them Constantinople, and just like that, it'll flip back to their culture and their religion. The rest of the provinces, obviously right here, these four and this one, I am gonna keep for myself. Around this point, you can totally annex Bosnia and Moldavia as well. Once you've wrapped up your initial war with the Ottomans, we need to start working on PUing Austria as well by weakening them first And the way you do that is we're going to do a simple war versus them, where we're going to make them give up everything except for the provinces in this state, and in this state. Obviously, if Austria got super lucky in your campaign, and if they got the Burgundian succession, then it's totally different. You're not really going to be doing this right here. But if Austria is their regular size, or if they've expanded a little bit, what we're going to do is a simple war versus them, where we're just going to make them release Tyrol right here from these 5 provinces and make them give back anything else that they've taken, which in my case is just these 2 other provinces right here. But before I do that, before I break my alliance with Austria, first I'm going to make them break their alliance with Castile using favors right here. So there we go. There's break alliance with Castile right there. They will accept, so they're no longer allied. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ally Castile myself right here, because I do want an additional big ally, since Muscovy seems to have broken their alliance with me. And now that we're allied to Castile, we can go ahead and dissolve our alliance with Austria. And just like that, in about 5 years, when our truce with them expires, we're going to go ahead and declare on them a simple war for whatever to make them give away some provinces before our truce runs out, and then we PU them as well. Once you've annexed Bosnia, you can go ahead and take the mission Bosnian Security for some extra admin points. Right now, since I have a couple of extra mill points since we teched up and we're quite ahead of time, I'm going to go ahead and establish a bunch of these local organizations in areas that we haven't established them so far. It's literally always useful to do this. It's literally pretty much free dev. And there we go. That's about enough for now, or maybe one more. We'll do some more later. Now, after you establish a bunch of these, you will notice that you're able to take the Order of the Dragon right here, which is a pretty powerful mission. It gives us minus 10% land maintenance and plus 20% nobles loyalty for 20 years, but also 0.5 army tradition for every owned province with the Order of the Dragon assigned. So pretty much that's 2 army tradition just for these 4 right here. Another 2.5 for these 5 right here. A pretty strong mission depending on the amount of army tradition you have. What I recommend doing is that you establish that literally everywhere that you can, and then you go ahead and take the mission. Since I'm super ahead of time with Miltech anyway, why not establish that everywhere that I can, just to show off the mission for you guys. And there we go, there's a couple of more local organizations active. I think that's the final one right there. So now let's go ahead and take that mission, and there we go, we just got a bunch of army tradition. Now we're at almost 100. Some other peacetime missions you can do during this point are pretty much all of these right here. The next one for me is example this one right here, develop 3 towns, where we need to develop 3 provinces in the region of Carpathia up to 20 that have a center of trade. So that's pretty much going to be Pest and this one, since we're developing these for other missions as well. And then the third one is obviously going to be one of these 2 right here. Obviously the one we took from Wallachia right here is going to be way cheaper to develop. It's farmlands, it can be a level 2 center of trade. So I'm just going to activate and encourage development right here. Let's go ahead and upgrade that center of trade. Let's go ahead and expand infrastructure, and there we go. We can already see how cheap it is. And now I'm just gonna bump it up a couple of times equally in every category, and there we go. That's 3 provinces with 20 development. And now when we take this mission, we will unlock the Burghers Estate privilege, expand the free rural towns, which if we enact that privilege, we'll get +1 possible number of manufactories in every province in Carpathia with a center of trade and 20 development, which is pretty much 4 provinces, the 4 that I already mentioned. And they'll also gain minus 10% local dev cost and plus 50% local goods produced, which is actually a really strong privilege, but then again, it's not really needed just for 4 provinces. This is more suited towards taller gameplay. The mission after that you're going to want to focus on is this one right here, the Fertile Lands of Pannonia, which requires us to have 10 provinces in the region of Carpathia that have at least 6 dev in production, and then we need to have 10 provinces with workshops. Obviously, just develop some of the high-value trade good provinces up to 6. We've already done Nitra and Pest, obviously. There should be a bunch. Let's see how many I have. In my game, I have 4 right here. So, develop this iron one, develop this copper one, for example. This one right here that can spawn coal later on. This one right here with cloth. This one right here with copper. The salt one. You get the point. Just develop 10 of them up to 6 production, and then have 10 of them with workshops. It's pretty simple. You'll gain some nice bonuses in the entire region of Carpathia then, for about 15 years. And by around the time you defeat the Ottomans in your first war, your realm should look a little something like this. Basically, we start off as Hungary and kickstarted our game by taking a look at some of the initial missions right here, and our opener obviously was to declare on Wallachia. If we couldn't, we declared on Serbia and Bosnia. Either way, those are your first couple of wars, taking care of these 3 nations right here, while simultaneously securing relations with Moldavia, so they have a higher chance of choosing you and becoming your march, which they still are in my game. But like I said at the start, Don't worry if they stay independent or if they go to Poland, we'll end up owning this either way. It's just a nice little boost right at the start. But after that, after dominating a couple of these guys down here at the south, you could have chilled for a bit and waited until 1457 to be able to take some of these missions down here. And then, or before that even, you could have looked to declare on Venice or Bohemia right here to chop them down a little bit. Obviously, in our first war versus Venice, we aim to take a couple of these provinces here, return the cores back to Croatia, and then do a couple of missions for them so we can annex Croatia. After you wrapped up Venice, you could have gone for Bohemia, taken the entirety of Silesia right here. You may notice that we were chilling quite a lot in between wars at certain points, but that's only because we end up taking so much in every single war after these initial three guys. Silesia is super developed right here, PUing Bohemia is 50 to 60 aggressive expansion, and that was your initial game plan right there. After waiting for the truce with Bohemia to expire, you should have gone ahead and PU'd them, and there we go. That was your first junior partner right there. And after PUing Bohemia, you can take the mission that lets you join the HRE, and obviously you should end up joining the HRE. You will become an elector yourself, so you won't be stuck with a duchy rank. And after joining the HRE and after becoming an elector yourself, then you should have allied a couple of these guys to become the HRE Emperor as well. Of course, during this time, you should have gone for another optional and possible junior partner, and that is the nation of Burgundy, by securing a royal marriage with them right at the start. Don't worry, once again, if you didn't get Burgundy, just like Lithuania, this is just a bonus PU that you may or may not have gotten. Bohemia, Poland, and Austria really are the ones that you have to get in your playthrough as Hungary. But after securing Bohemia and possibly Burgundy, that is around the time where you strike on Poland as well, and Naples maybe too, if they are independent. Obviously, if they're not independent, if you just got the claims on this, if they were a junior partner under someone, or if someone else owned this instead of Naples, don't worry about that, you'll deal with it later. You only deal with Naples if they're independent, so that's how you PU them. So at this point, you have Bohemia, Burgundy, and Naples, and after that, you're gonna gun for Poland, which if they have Lithuania, obviously is awesome. That's another junior partner for you, and those are your early game of PU subjects, or what I like to call them. And after that, after securing all of these guys right there, then it's the time to strike on the Ottomans. And after declaring on them, you should have taken what I just took right here in my game, a couple of provinces over here to release Bulgaria and Byzantium from. You could have given Constantinople over to Byzantium if you want to. You could have kept it for yourself. It's totally up to you. Then a couple of more provinces in the Balkans and a couple of provinces over here, so you have an easy time entering Anatolia later on, and the Ottomans don't end up blocking you in the Sea of Marmara. And after that, after crushing the Ottomans, then is the time to break your alliance with Austria, fight one war versus them, chop them down a little bit so they're only left in these two areas right here, or these three right here I should say, and after that you will be PUing them as well, and that's pretty much your early game setup done as Hungary. Of course, during this point, we haven't only been focusing on conquering and PUing nations. You should have been focusing on your missions as well, particularly some of these ones up here that focus on you developing your nation. And aside from the missions too, you should have worked on your nation as well. We developed the gold mine in Nitra up here up to 10. We developed this gold mine up to 10 as well. Later, when you inherit Bohemia, you're going to get another one, but by that point you won't even really need it. Obviously, you should have been focused on construction as well. There we go, we got marketplaces in most of the center of trade provinces. You should be stacking courthouses as well once you unlock them in every single province. Production buildings in the high value trade good provinces, build them in your subjects as well, because that is going to end up being your land as well. Churches as well in these provinces that give us more than 0.1 ducat a month, just like that. A couple of army buildings here and there, and later on manufactories. By now you know the drill. And obviously you will have been doing some developing in certain provinces that missions required to develop and stuff like that, aside from the gold mines. After this point, you're going to continue to expand in the same direction as we've already been expanding in. You're going to continue to follow along with some of your missions right here, these ones right here that relate to the Ottomans, these ones right here that relate to Austria, and these ones over here that relate to you developing your lands. Some really nice missions, make sure to tick them off. If you did end up getting Burgundy, another route of expansion, if you want to, is over here. Generally, it's not something you really do in a normal Hungary playthrough, but you can definitely go for it. But aside from that, your main route of expansion is pretty much going to be this region right here. If you're playing the HRE game heavily, you can continue to pass reforms. I just passed my third imperial reform right here that makes you force nations into the HRE, so you could definitely move along with this, or you can not do anything with this, not focus on the HRE, and just take advantage of the emperor bonuses. But you're going to continue to chop down the Ottomans after this. You're going to PU Austria, push further into the Ottomans, maybe push further into Muscovy, into whatever you want over here, the Baltics. It's totally up to you, but like I said, this is sort of the region that you generally focus on as Hungary in a normal campaign, and if you want to go further, you could definitely expand wherever you want to. But for now, for the next 20 or 30 years, your main targets are Austria, the Ottomans, and optionally France or Italy over here if you didn't PU Naples. This is what we took for our first two idea groups: aristocratic and influence. Excellent openers for Hungary and dispatch. Obviously, I already explained why aristocratic due to all the bonuses to the cavalry, and our army influence due to playing with subjects so heavily. For your third idea group, I recommend picking up another mill idea group, specifically quality, to bump up cavalry combat ability even more and up the other combat abilities of the other types of units as well. Really nice policies right here too. And then for your fourth idea group right here, after you've taken two mill ones, I recommend a money making idea group if you want to swim in ducats even more. Something like economic, for example, is really suited to Hungary's gameplay, but since you're going to end up inheriting all of this and the trade setup is a little wonky over here, you could even go with trade to maximize all these weird trade nodes over on this side of the world. After that, it's totally up to you. So aristo, influence, quality, and after that, economic or trade. The rest of them are up to you. This is what we took for our first 5 government reforms. We do have quite a lot of unique ones, but like I said earlier in the game, there really isn't a need to take some of these. They're not really better than any of the default choices, but as always, it's totally up to you. For your tier 6 government reform, I recommend taking royal decree once absolutism spawns. Before that, you could roll around with aristocratic court. For tier 7, I recommend meritocratic recruitment or superiority of the state. For tier 8, I recommend embracing the economic theory. For tier 9, I recommend the 6 books of the Republic, and for tier 10 and tier 11, take whichever one you want. At that point in the game, you won't make a mistake with either one of them. Something I did forget to mention earlier is that we do have a couple of new monuments right here that you could definitely take advantage of as Hungary. For example, this one right here, the Golden City in Nitra, which is specifically helpful for this province right here. So maybe you'll need it, maybe you won't. It's totally optional, but definitely make sure to upgrade the Biblioteca Corviana. It's very, very important. The Brand Castle is really nice too, and there's a bunch of other monuments around here that you're going to end up inheriting from your subjects that you should definitely take advantage of. So pretty much all of these monuments that are right here, you'll end up using most of them. And like I said, around the time you end up fighting the Ottomans, your realm should look a little something like this. If you're not that confident in your abilities, or if you're not sure if your game is going to go like mine, this save file is available for all YouTube members in the Save Games Discord channel, and you can continue playing as Hungary from this state forward. Let me know in the comments below what's the next nation that I should do a guide on. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like. It really helps out a lot. And if you like the content and want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of them. And you can become a member today and join the Discord. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another EU4 video.